All right. Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started with our huddle presentation this morning. We're going to do a quick talk on artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to demystify the mystical arts of artificial intelligence. So kick it off, just some quick intros. My name is Mark. I work in the information systems department. I'm I'm the lead network engineer, and I've been here for I guess it's been about 12 years now. And this is
My name's Steve. I also work in information systems. I'm a systems engineer, and I've been here about 5 years. I think 5 years is coming up in a couple weeks.
nice. So be looking forward to one of those beautiful certificates.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So just real quick, just a quick run through what we're going to talk about. We're going to just kind of go through what AI is and what it isn't. But I also, before we get into it, I did want to preface with this is just a general overview of AI. We can't get too deep because we don't have enough time. And it's also not necessarily how we can use AI at the county. AI is still very new, very, very rapidly developing and changing. So we have to take a measured approach at the county. So the purpose of this is just to kind of give everybody an overview of what it is. But so we're going to talk about what it is and what it isn't, talk about how it works, go over some risks and benefits, touch on the cost a little bit. We'll touch on a little bit of the future AI, kind of where it's heading, and actually, we're not going to talk about any how-tos. That was my bad. We don't have time for that. But I do want you to think about a few things while we're going through this. So think about, do you use AI? Are you using AI right now? Do you use it for personal use or do you use it for work? What kinds of AI do you use? What do you use it for? And do you currently have any policies for AI in your office or your department? And how do you feel about the direction that AI is heading? So just kind of keep those in the back of your mind while we're rolling through this.
Next, we want to talk about just lay the groundwork for what AI is not. We like to set the expectations low so we can build on those. AI is not intelligent. It's not magical. It's a computer program doing what it's been told to do, essentially. It's only as good as the data and the model that it's been trained on. Here we have some examples of things that we've come across online where you get a kind of a funny response from AI, like when it says, how long does it take to cross the English Channel on foot? And the AI responded that someone crossed the English Channel in 15 hours on foot. We know that's not true, but it just it's funny. But you give an AI garbage in, you get garbage out. You give it a bad prompt, you give it bad training data, you get bad results. Like I said earlier, AI is not magic. It's not sentient. It's not right. It's about as right as the average person that comments on the internet, because that's mostly what most of them are trained on. It's not a human replacement, and it's not one size fits all. There's many different AI models and programs that are used for specific tasks that are either user-facing or not user-facing. Next, Mark's going to talk about what AI is.
All right, so we'll dip into, so what is it? We kind of know that it's not magic. We know it's just a computer program. But when we talk about artificial intelligence in general, we're just referring to machines that are performing tasks that it typically takes a human to do, right? The human is the intelligent portion, and now we're training machines to kind of do some of that stuff that we were able to do. For instance, if you ask me a question on something like, what is AI? I'm going to have to go to the library, check out all the books I can find on AI. I'm going to have to read those books. I'm going to have to take all of that information that I've gained from those books, and I'm going to have to put it together in some sort of response to you. That's the intelligent portion. So what AI is doing the same thing. It's reading those same books, and it's gathering, instead of thinking about, okay, what does this mean? It's gathering statistics on each of them, all these words that go together. And it's gathering the common ones and it's saying, this is the answer. And as you start playing with it a little bit, specifically through browsers, like if you ask Google a question or if you ask Edge a question, you'll get cited sources in there, and you can click on the little citations and say, okay, it grabbed this answer from this website. And then you can, same thing as I have to cite my sources if I'm going to write you a paper. on what AI is, I need to cite those sources so that you can go back and reference those. So all of those same things are still there. You still need to cross-reference. You still need to, take whatever it says with a grain of salt, because a lot of it is just trained on the junk on the internet. So, um, so it is important for you to do your due diligence there. But it can also do tasks, tasks that involve learning, reasoning, problem solving, and perception. So think of a task like, does anybody have a robot vacuum at home? I do. I absolutely love my robot vacuum. It vacuums for me every day. I don't have to worry about it. Like once every 60 days or so, I have to change out like the main tank, give it a little maintenance here and there. It's not a big, it does that task for me and I love it. But AI has to learn, or the robot has to learn where it can go in my house and where it can't go. So it's doing that by mapping. Now you do have more advanced robot vacuums that have a little camera on the front, and those cameras were designed to respond to images so that it can avoid certain obstacles. One of the main obstacles that it was designed to avoid is pet waste. So dog poo. Like, you don't want your robot vacuum rolling through dog poo, because you'll never ever get it clean. It's going to be just completely destroyed. Your $400 vacuum, you're going to throw it away. So we have people who are spending millions of dollars doing research and development on building AI models so they can recognize what poo is. And so their machine can avoid it and roll over it. So that's the intelligence we're talking about. Don't step in the poo. These machines can be rule-based or trained using data, and we call that machine learning. That's been a term that, at least in our industry, has been around for a while. Just the machine pulling in data and then learning from that data as it goes along, instead of being pre-trained on how to do something. But again, AI is not magic. It's practice, and it's only good as the model it's trained on. But Steve's going to talk about how it learns.
How do those models get trained? AI learns through examples. It's a process called training. It involves feeding large amounts of data that's relevant to the task that you're trying to achieve with said model, such as dogs, or Mark's dog poo example. For instance, the chatbot is going to be trained on textual conversations. Image recognition, like with the robot vacuum, is going to be trained on images it wants to recognize. Training can be very narrow, like the example earlier. It can be broad, something like Copilot or ChatGPT that needs to accommodate a user that's trying to program, or a user that's trying to generate images or anything. We call that a hybrid model, a model that incorporates multiple facets. So training's simple. It works like hiring a new employee. How do you do that? Well, you put them in front of a desk and you say, here's your job. I'm going to show you how to do it. Each time they get something wrong, you say, that's not how you do it. You do it this way. And then you keep correcting that model. And after time, it learns what it needs to do. But then again, with that model, that data you're training the model with, is your model's only going to be as good as that data that goes in. So once this process has been repeated millions of times, literally, you have a model that can somewhat do a task, or answer a question, or generate an image, or recognize dog poo. It's like training a person. It's repetition and feedback. We have a slide here on various categories of different types of AI models. We would go more in depth on these, but we don't have the time. What most people generally think of AI is like the Copilot, the ChatGPT, etc. We call that a hybrid model, where it brings aspects of each one of these models into it. So like through Copilot, you can generate images, you can ask it questions, you can have it make you a Word document, that kind of stuff. Mark's going to expand a little bit on a broader topic of different types.
So we really categorize AI into kind of two main types. You've got your generative AI. That's kind of what we're all used to, your chat GPTs and things like that. And your agentic. So your generative creates things, it generates things. It takes any sort of input and generates an image. You can use it for writing, you can use it for crafting emails, you can use it for summarizing emails, summarizing a whole bunch of text. The agentic is a little bit different in that it's working a little more autonomously. So it is an agent that does stuff essentially. So think of like self-driving cars. You're giving it an input of where you want to go, but you're not telling it to, okay, you need to stop here, you need to turn left, you need to go straight for 3 blocks and then turn right. It's doing that. It's receiving the input from its sensors, from its cameras, from um, all of the data that it has access to, and it's making those decisions on where to go. And it's important to choose the right tool for the job. So when you're thinking of all these different types of AIs, and like Steven said, we basically, everyone at this point is just using like a hybrid model. So it's important to kind of know what it is that you're wanting to do. Are you, if you're writing or chatting, you need a language AI. If you want something to recognize faces, then you're going to need image recognition AI. So really, as you kind of think about what it is you're trying to do, what job you're trying to do, but also you need to think of the privacy aspects of it. What am I uploading? If I needed to, if I'm choosing an AI, if I'm choosing a model that's going to edit a paper that I'm writing or edit a document that I'm writing, what information's in that document that I'm then uploading? Because in order to have the AI go through and edit your paper, you have to send it to a data center somewhere. Where is that data center located? What are they going to do with that information? Have I read through the 1 million pages of the end user license agreement to know what they're going to do with that information? Other things that are involved in choosing what kind of AI you need to do for your job are cost. If you're just going to use it every now and then just for fun, you're probably good with the free option. If you're going to use it for anything more, you really need to look at a subscription option. If you're extremely concerned about the privacy of your data, you probably need to look at a locally hosted option. And as the more privacy you want, the higher the cost goes. The more you want to use it, the higher the cost goes. So all of that, just like the rest of technology, it gets cheaper as time goes on. But all these are things to think about as you're using AI. And another interesting place that this shows up is that is on your phone. So you're using AI right now. Some of you are using AI on devices that try to do some of that processing locally. You can think about like Apple iPhone, the newest iPhones are trying to do some of that locally to keep that privacy with you. With that, your phone has to be able to handle that sort of processing. And in order to handle that processing, you're probably going to pay a little bit more money for your phone. Phones are going to get a little bit hotter, so they have to use new technology in order to dissipate that heat, and got to have more processing power on that local device. So part of the cost of AI that's going to be baked into your devices, you'll probably end up seeing that as time goes on. Other things that we're using that are using AI kind of built into it, Microsoft apps. So Microsoft is integrating Copilot in most of their products and most of their operating, even just in their Windows operating system. Notepad's got an option for Copilot. Paint, the Office suite, Teams, they all have Copilot baked into it. Some of that requires licensing. Like if you pop open Edge and you ask Copilot a question, that's probably not going to cost you anything. But if you want to use it to edit documents, that's probably going to cost you something. Other enterprise software that's baking in AI, WebEx is one of those. Most of your online video sharing platforms are going to have AI baked in there. They're going to have a language-based model that's dictating everything that I say, not only dictating what I say, but if each person's logged onto a WebEx, it's going to add your name to it. It's going to say, Chad said this, Jason said this, and then I can get a transcript at the end of the entire conversation and notes. So I don't have to take notes anymore. Adobe's going to have, or Adobe has AI baked into its products, and QuickBooks is another one. A lot of financial software gonna have AI baked in there. So just all things to think about as you're choosing how you want to, as you're kind of forced to choose how you want to, interact with artificial intelligence.
So as you're choosing, you also need to consider the risks. A lot of risks we see with ethical bias. What kind of data was this model trained on? This information that I get out of this model or this program, what am I eligible to use that for? Is this considered intellectual property? We see cognitive atrophy. A study from MIT actually showed that kids that in their teenage formative years that rely on AI for answering their questions show a cognitive decline versus kids that do not use an AI model for answering their questions. There's also the reskilling and job replacement thing, where is AI going to take my job? Am I going to be replaced with a chatbot? That's something that's going to happen. After they were cutting the fields with size, they got combines, and the people that ran the size had to find something else to do. It's going to happen to a degree, we think, but what that degree is going to be, we don't know. Misuse potential, deep fakes. Someone takes a picture of somebody, puts them in a compromising position or scene, stuff like that. Political stuff along those lines as well. And also what's happening with my data. I upload my Word document, say, hey, Copilot, can you reformat this to make it better, more friendly sounding? What are they doing with that document that I uploaded? If you read the EULA, they're going to tell you what they're going to do. But like Mark said, that's 1,000 pages long. Nobody's going to read it. And do we actually know that they're going to follow it? That's about what's happening. Where's the data crunching happening? Like we talked about earlier, local AI on the newer iPhones or high-end local AI in data centers is all happening locally. You have control of that. But once you upload to a cloud, you can't really know what is happening with that data. There's also benefits to AI.
It's not all bad. One of the benefits to AI is that it generates great presentations. So the hardest part of getting started with any project or anything that you're doing is just getting started. So when we started thinking about this topic, we just asked Copilot, "Hey, Copilot, can you explain AI to me?" And it generates a very nice bulleted list, a nice outline for you to get started with. Okay, now I need to flesh this out. Another thing it does really good is it generates cute little clip art images. So all of the images that we've used in this presentation were just generated by AI. So we just ask it, hey, can you make me a robot with an hourglass? And it generates a little robot with an hourglass. So I really don't have to worry about copyrights or anything like that. This is just something it drew. But it also it's really good for increasing productivity, automating tasks, anything that's routine. AI is really good at that. It's really good at handling like very large amounts of data and data sets, looking for statistical anomalies. Like in cybersecurity, we get just like billions and billions of points of information that flow through our network, even just here at the county. And it's really good at being able to say, okay, what's my baseline? What is normal? This is what normal looks like. And then if anything abnormal happens, I'll let you know. It's way easier for it to do that than it is for me to do that. But it also enhances healthcare. You've got lots and lots of information at your fingertips. Financial tools. There's a lot of AI models out there to help you with finance. Excuse me, and logistics. But it also enables personalization and smarter tools. So the AI model can learn about you and feed you ads that pertain to things that you like. Also really good for proofreading, summarizing large amounts of text, even changing the tone of your email. If you want to make something a little nicer, you can paste your email into Copilot and say, how can I soften the tone of this? And it will soften it up for you. Or how can I make this relatable to an audience of 50 to 60-year-olds? And it will tailor that document or whatever, that email, to that specific audience. So the cost of AI, the cost of AI is just like all over the place right now. Um, if you're looking for a cloud hosted model, which probably most of us would, especially in our personal lives, you're probably not going to have to pay very much for a subscription. Most of us are just going to get by with whatever we can get for free. There are some drawbacks to that. There are some limitations with that. But if you find yourself being a heavy chat GPT user, you may want to be interested in ponying up a little bit of money for a higher subscription. It's also easy to scale. I can start real small and then decide, I only want 2 people to use Copilot, and I'd like to make that a little bit bigger for my office. There's a low upfront cost, so it's real cheap to get into. But if you do have those bigger privacy concerns, or you have some sort of reason to do a locally hosted option, then you're starting to get into like real big money. You need real big servers that use a lot of power. You're gonna have to have a lot of cooling and HVAC, and there's a large hardware and software cost associated with that. All right, so Steve's going to bring us into the future.
But yeah, in the future, we've heard of Moore's law before. I don't know if all you have. It's like the guy said in the 70s that the amount of transistors on a processing chip doubles every 2 years. That held true until about the 2010s. That's essentially saying computers got twice as fast every 2 years. Well, recently, we're seeing that, but with AI models. It's saying there was a study in 2024 saying that we're seeing AI have double the power every 3.4 months. So that's the rate that we're seeing AI grow at, becoming more powerful. So it's here to stay, as far as we can tell, and it's only getting more and more prominent in our everyday lives. There has been governance on it. The EU has just recently rolled out an EU-wide act that is essentially a driver's manual for AI, what companies can and cannot do with your data, can and cannot do with their models. Certain states also have legislation in place for this, but we don't have any federal-wide protections or allowances for AI at the moment. NIST recently published a cybersecurity guide for AI in an organization, NIST AI 601, that just outlines risks posed by AI in your environment and how you can compensate for them or mitigate them. So how do you use AI in your personal life versus your business life? Would you upload your personal financial information to an AI cloud? I wouldn't. Would I upload my organization's data to an AI cloud, financial information? Depends, like Mark said, is it locally hosted? Do I have it on my premises? Am I in control? What's the terms of use? You also have to account for HIPAA, PCI, etc., CGIS compliance. So just be careful with what you're doing. It's pretty much it. Understand the implications of what you're uploading.
All right, so that's basically it. So is AI here to stay? Absolutely. Do you use AI? Yeah, it's too late. You're already using it. So just kind of get ready for it. Be mindful of what are you uploading? What are you sending? How is it using your data? And what data are you feeding to it? Also, just kind of wanted to touch at the very end on how important prompts are. If you think about talking to AI like you would to a helpful assistant, but it takes your instructions literally. So if I say, draw me a hot dog, it's probably going to draw a picture of a hot dog with a bun. But if you just say, well, I just want just a no bun hot dog, you got to tell it, I want a hot dog with no bun. The more specific that you can make your prompt, the better. Also, most of these allow you to kind of adjust. So if you ask for a thing and it doesn't give you exactly what you want, you can just refine that. Also, with the hot dog illustration, negative prompts are important. You can tell it, make me this without that. Give me this information without that information, and it will do that for you. But just remember that your prompting is important. And that is it. So does anybody have any questions? Yes, sir.
So every conference you go to, they've got a session on AI, or maybe the whole conferences on
Mhm.
it. One of the most helpful things that I heard, I just want to get your opinion on this, is that AI, the best way to think about using it is that you use it like you would an assistant, a secretary, an intern, rather than your boss.
Yes.
So,
Mhm.
you don't give it a task to do that you couldn't do yourself.
Mhm.
It can just save you the time, but you plan on looking over the work, proofing that, and making adjustments before it would actually be something that would be usable. Don't ask it to be your doctor, your counselor, your
Mhm.
lawyer, or something like that.
Yeah, 100%. It's like what Steve touched on with how they're training these models and the models that it's trained on. If it's trained on really bad information, you're going to ask it a question, and it's going to give you bad answers. So I think that's 100% accurate. You need to whatever information you get from it, you should treat like you're getting that information from the comment section, on the Ozark Chit Chat Facebook page. You really want to cross-reference everything it's telling you, because again, it's just pulling from, especially if you ask it a question through the browser, it's just going to pull from those top websites. If those top websites have bad information, that's what it's giving you. So I think that's a great way to look at it. Treat it, don't ask it to do something you can't do, and just know that you have to edit everything it tells you. So if it's writing you an email, make sure you edit it. If it's making you a PowerPoint presentation, make sure you go through and edit it. That is 100% very important to do.
I'm just curious if you have any opinions about AI that you use, especially ChatGPT versus Google versus any of the other
Mhm.
Copilot. And what are your thoughts on the difference? Is there one that you like or you use more often than others?
Do you want to take that? I'll let Steve take that. He uses AI more than
I would say Copilot and ChatGPT are the main two consumer slash kind of what we do, not large enterprise in AI models. They're going to give you about the same result with a paid plan. Copilot lets you do essentially like the browser asking for free, or with a 365 license. I don't exactly recall where they delineate that, but they're gonna give you the basic. I'm gonna search the web, find the answer, give you an answer, cite my sources. ChatGPT will give a little more in depth for free. You have to create an account, but it's gonna actually do some, hey, make me a Word document. It's gonna make you a Word document. The pricing is very similar and competitive. The output results are very similar and competitive. I don't know. I think Copilot's model might be based off of ChatGPT's
I
model
think it is.
on the back end. So really, it's kind of who do you want to give money to and how well does it integrate? I would say Copilot if you're going to pay for it, because you probably use Word, PowerPoint, Excel already, and it's going to integrate that into Excel. You're going to have a button up there say, hey, format this spreadsheet for me in a different way. Go through these numbers, tell me what's wrong. Where you're not going to get that with ChatGPT without exporting the file, uploading it to it.
Good enough.
Yes, sir.
I was just thinking, we've all seen AI generated videos, pictures, and it gets presented as actual facts. Is there any way to check that?
See if we can find the
other than
fingers.
Yeah, so there are some things that generative AI is not good at yet. Like Steve said, I mean it's getting better. It's doubling every 3 to 4 months. So one thing it's really bad at are fingers. So if you're looking at hands, it's really bad at hands. So if you look at the hands of our robots as we go through, some of them have like weird hands. Like you can see this little guy, his right hand looks semi-normal for a robot hand, I guess. But then his left hand, he's like missing part of an arm. He's got kind of a nub. It's just really not good at hands. So hands are a good one to look at. But really, it's just going to be kind of relying on intuition. Does this look real? Like, is there natural face movements? Like faces are still kind of hard. Eyes are really hard. It's gotten really good at shadows and shading things to look right, but there are certain details about a face that look odd. So it's kind of that how do they train the Secret Service to find counterfeit money? You train them on real money. They handle real money, all day long until you know what real money is, so that when you see something weird, you're like, okay, this is something weird about this. I don't know if this is real. So it's kind of like that. Some of them are adding markers to their technology, but some of those in the metadata, some of that can be scrubbed pretty easy. And there are obviously like lots of people who out there who are just not doing that. They will make you, making their own private models to use that, for nefarious reasons, for creating phishing emails, for, imitating somebody's voice. Voices are really easy for it to do. So, if like we could capture a few minutes of your voice and then we can upload that to an AI and then have it say whatever we want you to say. Like, can you please send me an Apple gift card? Like, well, this sounds like Kelly calling me asking for an Apple gift card, but I really don't think that he would call me and ask for one. So there's still that human intuition part that is a real important. And like we've always said, just kind of using those spidey senses to know if this is kind of real or not, if something's weird. And if it's weird, always ask, especially if it's something weird here at the county, ask us and we'll try to do what we can to figure out if it's real or fake. Yeah. So in other words, there's no easy way. Yeah. But look for the hands, look for the eyes, facial, mouth movements, stuff like that.
All right, it's time.
Oh man, it is time. All right. Well, thank you all very much for